Hi, and welcome back to Extra, your weekly LGBTQIA plus news roundup in which I serve you all the tea so that you don't have to do the deep diving yourself. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. Because I didn't get to filming a video last week, this week we have twice the material that I want to get to. I do want to cover everything that's important and not skip over anything just because it happened last week rather than this week. Because of the wealth of stuff that there is to talk about this week, I might make this a two-part video, in which case the first video will be politics, business, and science, and then the second video will be culture, sports, and of course, at the end, our awards section, as always. So strap in for a wild ride, and because this week's video is going to be jam-packed, without further ado, let's get into it. This is Javier Milei, Argentina's new president. He is far-right, a climate denier, an anti-abortionist.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
And who would have guessed it, has been endorsed by people such as Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro, who is also all of the above-mentioned things.
Ew.
For context, Argentina has been facing a severe economic crisis, with 40% of the Argentine population living in poverty as of now, which explains why someone like Milei, whose campaign focused heavily on economic growth and getting the country back on track financially, would have won this election. The good news is that the LGBTQ plus community wasn't at the center of his campaign at all. The bad news is that he has in the past said things such as the LGBTQ lobby has an agenda which poses a risk to the values of society. As well as that he intends to fight a social battle against socialism and feminism. Argentina historically has been very supportive of queer rights. Argentina was the first Latin American country to legalize same-sex marriage and make adoption possible for queer couples. It was also the first country in the world to legalize self-ID for people who are non-binary and trans, and it has banned conversion therapy. So especially seeing as Argentina currently is a very inclusive and progressive country, let's hope that Milei's presidency won't pose a risk to that. I guess we'll stay tuned. Nepal has finally registered the first queer marriage in the country. It was legalized months ago. Afterwards, unfortunately, a lot of the courts still refused to register same-sex marriages, but that time is now over, and these two wonderful people have been the first to register as a homosexual couple in Nepal. This next one is a big one. Russia has declared the LGBTQ plus movement extremist and has made it illegal to do any sort of activism or campaigning on behalf of queer rights.
Oh, I'd kill for a good coma right now.
This very broad definition of what the LGBTQ plus movement is gives authorities in Russia a lot of leeway and grey area to work with when it comes to exercising that authority, which in blunt terms means anybody that they deem part of the queer community for whatever reason, be it things as mundane as a man wearing eyeliner or whatever, would give them the right and the possibility to prosecute that person without much evidence or any evidence at all. This follows a decade-long crackdown on queer rights in the country anyway. Putin has declared a war on what he calls a risk to traditional family values. I've spoken in length about Russia's stance on queer rights in one of my previous videos. I'll link that down below. But suffice it to say that Russia is not a safe place for queer people. News outlets agree that under Putin's leadership, Russia has shifted now from an authoritarian state to a dictatorship. Yum. And this latest decision only underlines what an unsafe place Russia is for queer people. In better news, the Thai cabinet has approved a bill which would legalize same-sex marriage as well as granting same-sex couples the right to form a family and adopt. This bill has now been submitted for review by Parliament, which will happen on the 12th of December. And if approved, if Thailand does in fact legalize same-sex marriage, it will be the third country in Asia, following Taiwan and Nepal, and the first Southeast Asian country to do so. Now, this next bit of news is pretty much the reason why I have decided to do on this platform what I do. Transgender Europe have published their annual report on how many trans people are murdered every year. And in this past year, from October last year to November this year, a total of 321 transgender people worldwide have been murdered for being trans. 94% of those people are trans women or trans femmes, and 80% of all victims are trans women of colour. 50% are known to have been sex workers. So a lot of bias and prejudice comes together on these statistics. It's not just transphobia, homophobia, it's also xenophobia and racism and classism and a kind of generalized hatred or disregard of sex workers who are also just people doing a job. All this just to support the fact that inclusivity has to be intersectional. We're not just fighting for queer rights, we're also fighting against racism, against xenophobia, against a separation of classes, and against bigotry in all its forms. There have been vigils in many big cities, including London, on, I believe, the 20th of November, which is Trans Remembrance Day, if I'm not mistaken. And they're necessary. We do not live in an equal society, and we have not achieved equality and recognition for all, and especially in this case for trans people and especially trans femmes. Maybe one day I'll do a video essay on why it is trans women and not trans men that are targeted so much. There's a whole patriarchal misogyny thing going on there, but not today. Hey, this is the halfway point of this video, and I'm just jumping in here to say that if you enjoy this content, give my video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let's get back to the video. On to business. Froot Loops has partnered with BGC Canada, which is a non-for-profit which promotes children's social welfare, and together they have released a free digital children's library which features books on diversity of all kinds, ethnic representation, queer inclusivity and gender diversity, body positivity and disability positivity, and yeah, just in the face of recent book bans in especially children's libraries and stuff in the States, it's a really important cause to make educational content available to families and children for free. Finnish menstrual product company Vuokkoset, I hope I'm saying that right, has recently launched a tampon for men, shown here. And I am conflicted as to how I should be feeling about this. Because on the one hand, right, representation is always a great thing. Everyone goes to the supermarket, and just the average person seeing this in their local supermarket, making people aware that it's not just women who menstruate, and that actually menstruation isn't just a feminine thing, is really wonderful. Also, I read up on this because my first instinct was, do we really need another tampon company? And just, again, capitalism profiting off the queer community. Is this queer washing? Whatever. Actually, Vuokkoset will be donating all the proceeds from this product to an LGBTQ+ charity. So they're not making any profit off of this. But also, even though their products are biodegradable. Not just this product, but all of their period products are biodegradable. It still is a disposable product. And I mean, we now have so many alternatives, right? We have washable period pads. We have menstrual cups. We have absorbent period underwear. There are a lot of sustainable alternatives out there to disposable products, which I would encourage everyone to go look into and find one that works for you, because menstrual waste is a big problem. But it is important to switch to a much less feminine-centered language when it comes to menstrual products. You know, like in most supermarkets, it's what, feminine hygiene? What does that mean? And why can't we just call them menstrual products?
I just have a lot of feelings.
I hope I have been successful in relaying my feelings about this tampon, which are conflicted, right? It's necessary in what it represents, but unnecessary as a product, if that makes sense. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation about it, because I am a cis woman. My perspective on this is limited. A South African company named Kiara Health is launching a product which will help women protect themselves against contracting HIV. That product is a silicone ring which the women can insert, and it's believed to reduce a woman's chance of contracting HIV by between 33 and 50%, which is huge. HIV is currently the leading cause of death for women of reproductive health in all of Africa, and 60% of new infections in Africa are women. Not only is this an important issue to tackle, but there's also the added benefit that this particular product will allow women the freedom to protect themselves against HIV without their partner's knowledge. So any women who are in abusive relationships or sex workers where, you know, the client refuses to wear a condom or whatever it is, it gives women power over their bodies without needing the approval or permission from men. There's so many people in today's video that are just doing good work, really good, important work. So that's really lovely to get to talk about that. And this last one is a bit of a doozy because a new study has shown that 10 million Brits, which is what, 1/6, 1/7 of the population, would not be comfortable working or being friends with an HIV positive person.
Extremely disappointing.
Because they don't understand how HIV is contracted. This same study has asked people how they think the virus can be contracted. And they have said things like sitting on the same toilet seat, touching the same door handle, sharing a cup or a bottle, hugging an HIV positive person. So I just want to take this segment to do some quick education for anyone watching this who isn't actually clear on it, because, you know, I'm sorry if the education system has failed you so badly.
I'm just sad the public school system failed them so badly.
But yeah, let's talk about it. HIV is a virus that can very much affect all humans. You know, heterosexual men and women are not exempt. HIV is contracted through genital fluids, meaning what we have in our reproductive parts and all of the liquids that live there. Blood and breast milk. Only those three. Not saliva, mucus when you have a cold, not sweat. Only those three. So, activities that you'd have to do in order to contract HIV from a HIV positive person include sexual intercourse, open mouth kissing only if both of you have open sores in your mouth, sharing a needle. You definitely cannot catch HIV by sharing a bottle, by kissing someone on the cheek, by hugging them. Absolutely not. And it's also important to say that today we have medicines that reduce your viral load, meaning the amount of viruses that you have in your blood so far that it's actually undetectable and untransmittable, so that an HIV positive person who is taking these antiretroviral drugs actually cannot give you HIV, even if, you know, you do all of the things that mean you would, under normal circumstances, contract the virus from them. It's untransmittable when that person is reliably taking that medicine. And I am shocked by the lack of education, by the level of stigma that so many people in Britain still hold against HIV positive people. It's an absolute failure on account of the educational system and the government that still so many people believe those things.
Yeah, I get a little frustrated when I'm dealing with incompetence.
We've made it to the end of the first of 2 videos. The next one will be going up soon. Please stay tuned for that one. Thank you so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon.